Good afternoon. This is Dr. Martin Sellers, Dean of the School of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, coming to you with another segment of American culture, arts, humanities, and social sciences. And today, our program will be about student athletes. The student athlete, athletics at LMU, and the programs that we have here to help athletes in their academic pursuits. We have some guests with us, and I'll ask them to introduce themselves in a bit, just a bit later. Matthew Green, Director of Athletics, Alicia McNeil, our Instructor of Health, Physical Education, and Exercise Science, who is also our Faculty Athletics Representative this year. We also have with us student Curtis Campbell, who is the SAC President, as I understand it, and also a men's golf person, and majoring in golf, right? I'd love to major in golf. That would be a wonderful thing to do. Maybe someday when I retire. And we also have a bit of interesting things to mention about LMU. Let me talk a little bit about the university to remind ourselves about how the university is, programs we have, pursuits we're endeavoring upon. Here at LMU, we have quite a few programs that I'm not sure everybody knows about. We have 9 schools, Allied Health, and again, Alicia McNeil's here representing Allied Health, Dean Beth Thompson, the School of Business, run Dean James Hurley, Carter Morris School of Education, led by Sylvia Lynch, the School of Math and Sciences, led by Dr. Emil Josfer, Kaler School of Nursing, Dr. Marianne Moderson, the DeBus College of Osteopathic Medicine, Dr. Brian Kessler, the School of Law, Honorable Judge Gary Wade, and the College of Veterinary Medicine, our newest dean, Jason Johnson. And of course, the Paul V. Hamilton School of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. We have the way I think about the School of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences is that we have all the majors that nobody else has. You know, business has business, and math and science had math and science, and so on. We have a wide variety of programs, including art, history, music, media communication, philosophy, religion, social work, psychology, political science, criminal justice, English, and we have a host of minors and tracks and so on. We also teach most of the general education programming, and we have a wonderful program referred to as the Arts in the Gap, and that program includes most of our art, both two-dimensional, three-dimensional, and we now have an art co-op down in the little town of Cumberland Gap where we display art by faculty and by students. We have theater performances and music performances all year round. We also have an honors scholars program that is housed in Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences. We just have a plethora of programs available, and the purpose of our program and the segments we've been producing here is to let all of you know what we do at LMU and how we operate, and to answer questions that you may have. I am sure there are people out there, those of you who are listening, someone out there is looking to join one of these programs in one of these wonderful schools, and you're wondering how to go about that. Check out our web page. It facilitates contact by phone, by email, and by text. www.lmunet.edu. All of the programs are listed there. All of the schools are listed. You can also call our main number, which is also listed on the web pages for LMU. Some things you may not know about LMU in general. We have a number of terminal degrees that we support. Last time I counted, we have 8 terminal degrees here at LMU in this what used to be a little campus in the middle of Claiborne County. We have 15 master degree programs. We have pathways to success that a lot of schools don't have. I'm just always impressed when I think through how much we do here at Lincoln Memorial University, and I'm proud to be part of it, as I know our guests are. Let me turn the program toward the programming that we have for today, and that is we want to talk about the student athlete at LMU, the athletics program, and I want to ask these folks who are sitting right next to me that you can't see because we're on the radio, ask them to say a little bit about themselves and do some self-introduction. And I'll start with Matthew Green, who is our athletic director. Matthew.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sellers. And first, Dr. Sellers, let me just say thank you on behalf of everybody that's here. We really appreciate the time that you've allowed us to come and talk about our kids and also the passion that you have for LMU. It's really great to see, and we share that passion. We think we have a great thing going here, so thank you very much. Matthew Green, I'm in my second year now as Director of Athletics here at LMU. Originally from Richmond, Virginia, so not too far away from here. But moved here a little over a year ago from Rome, Georgia, where I spent the previous 6 years. And this is just a great place to be. I'm excited to be here. We have a lot of great things going on in athletics and a lot of great people working with me, like the two sitting next to me. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Alicia.
My name is Alicia McNeil. As Dr. Sellers mentioned, I am faculty in the Health, Physical Education, and Exercise Science Department, and I am also the faculty athletics representative. I am originally from Dayton, Ohio. I actually came down to Lincoln Memorial back in 2000 and went to school here. Went to school from 2000 to 2004, got my degrees in athletic training and physical education, went off and got my master's at Arkansas State, and then came back and started teaching here in the, at the time, kinesiology department in 2006. So I am in my 11th year as a faculty member, but just my second year as a faculty athletics representative. So I have both the student-athlete experience, even though it was a while ago. I have the student-athlete experience as well as the faculty experience that really helps me in the FAR role.
Thank you, Alicia. And student Curtis Campbell with us. Tell us, Curtis, where are you from originally, and how did you make it here to Harriet, Tennessee?
So I'm originally from Cold Lake, Alberta, Canada, which is just north of Edmonton. I currently live in Montreal, Canada. How I found LMU is basically through recruiting lots of the international students here, and then I was very fortunate to come down for a visit and see the beautiful area, meet the very friendly people. I'm a senior here, professional golf management major. I have a minor in information systems. I'm also the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, so I represent all the student athletes on campus and between the student athlete perspective and administration with Matt Green.
Can you tell us a little more about the Student Athletic Association here on campus? What kinds of things do you all work with or support or promote? What is it about?
So the Student Athlete Advisory Committee is composed of a minimum of 2 members per sports team. So we have in total this year 42. Our main role is to serve as a link between the student athletes and the administration, as I said. On the side, we do a lot of fundraising for Make-A-Wish in partnership with the NCAA Division II, and also we help out with game day promotions to help promote support between the athletes and also between the normal students and the athletics participation. So we have full crowds at everybody's home games.
I see. Now, you said 42. Now, I'm not a great mathematician, but I thought we had 10 programs. Don't we have 10 sporting programs, both male and female? We got more than that.
We actually have 25.
Oh.
We actually have 25. So, but some of those are dual. We've got cross-country track and field and indoor track and field, which essentially count as one program.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
But 3 different offerings and 3 different seasons.
Our most recent Matt is bowling. Is that right?
That's right. This year, for the first time, we'll have men's and women's bowling. We also have men's volleyball and JV men's and women's golf. And actually, our bowling programs will have their first event this Saturday at Hillcrest Lanes.
Hillcrest Lanes Saturday. Anybody out there listening wants to go to Hillcrest Lanes, Matthew invites you to go, and he'll buy you a soda if you come. Am I right, Matthew?
I will. And Cracker Jack as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Matthew, I have to ask you this question. I apologize in advance for asking, but this is just... How is it we lost that basketball? That basketball game was so good. We were watching a whole bunch of us here on campus, and I'm not going to mention that terrible team, Augustine. I'm not going to mention their name. It's terrible, but we were close. I mean, we worked hard. Am I right? I mean, what are your thoughts on that basketball game?
I'll tell you what, that was a great team that we played. Fantastic team that we played. A bunch of seniors on that team, and really the run that our guys had to get to that level and be able to play on national television, CBS, in front of millions. and the way they represented us, we were very, very, very proud.
Yeah, they're the athletes. Well, we'll talk about more about this in a few minutes. I'm sure Alicia wants to spend some time talking about the quality of our athletes, as do Matt. But I would say that when I walk around the hallways here in the buildings, and I see the athletes. They are a proud group of people, both men and women. They're good-hearted. They come to class. I've been to 4 different colleges, and I've not experienced the level of quality of intentional study, and I attribute a lot of that to what we do here in our athletic departments and programs, and as well the faculty who work hard to make sure the athletes have pathway to success. I did want to ask you, Matthew, before I go forward, I'm going to ask you about the programs, but now tell us about the Valley of Sports. Now, we've been hearing about this. I drive down Old 63 towards Speedwell where I live, and every day I see a little more thing going on, some turbulence in the dirt. What's going on down there?
Well, when complete, which could be several years into the future, it will be one of the top athletic facilities in all NCAA Division II, I have no doubt. And so it constitutes a lot of sports. Currently complete is our new golf training facility, which is phenomenal, fantastic, right in front of our driving range. We also have a brand new lacrosse field house, which houses coaches' offices, locker rooms, training room, and also an indoor tennis facility, which should be completed by the end of this year, hopefully by winter.
Yeah, there's a lot of growth all at one time springing up, and I'm just so glad. As I've said before, I've been here since January of 2003. I left, came back, but from that time to here, to see all the growth in our sporting complexes, I knew Dr. Charles Petit, Charlie Petit, when he was here before he passed away, and I see what he had left as part of his legacy. It's just a beautiful field building out here for classrooms, as well as the outdoor tennis courts, lit tennis courts that we use often. It's beautiful out there, and a lot of the growth here is due to the great vision of our board of trustees. I have to say that, and they have really looked down the road and recognized where we are and what we need to do. Of course, Tex Turner Fieldhouse is greater than anything I can even imagine around any of the schools and our peers. For schools our size and the enrollment level, we have nothing like that anywhere around the area. So, but let me go to the programs. Tell us, Matthew or Alicia, if you would, about our athletic programs, the mission, the vision that you have. If you want to start with that, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Our vision in the Department of Athletics is to try to provide the very best student-athlete experience that we can. We're here for the student-athletes. We want to make sure that we give them all the resources and support they need to succeed. And that vision encompasses 3 areas. We want our kids to be successful academically, first and foremost. They're here to get a degree and progress beyond LMU and contribute to society. So we want to make sure they have all the academic support that they need. Secondly, we want our student-athletes to develop socially through community service and community engagement opportunities. We want them to grow as people. And then third, but definitely not least, we obviously want athletic success. So we want our kids to excel athletically, to achieve individual and collective goals as a team. And so we feel like we're on the right track. We can always get better, but the student-athlete is our focus.
Let me digress just for a moment here. We're going to take a quick break. Time goes so quick when we're having fun, right? And let me just say that the support for this program is made possible by Lincoln Memorial University in Harrogate, Tennessee. Further information on academics, campus life, educational programs, admissions and financial aid, and much, much more is available to all of us at www.lmunet.edu. This is 91.3 The Gap.
On Wednesday evenings, you can tune your radio to WLMU and hear the best blues in the tri-state area with your host, Gary Daniels. He'll be playing the best blues artists of today and the best blues artists of yesteryear. Everything from Robert Johnson, Buddy Guy, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Muddy Waters, and many more. It's Wednesday Evening Blues from 9 to 11, right here on 91.3 WLMU.
There is a jewel in the crown right here in our Cumberland Mountains, and it's the Abraham Lincoln Library and Museum. located here on the historic campus of LMU. It houses one of the top 5 Lincoln and Civil War collections in the entire world, and it's right here in our own backyard, located here in Harrogate, Tennessee, at the main entrance of LMU's campus. For more information, their number is 423-869-6235, and on the World Wide Web at lmunet.edu/museum.
Here we are back again. Our program today is about sports and athletics and student athletes and how well they do here at LMU. They do a wonderful job here at LMU. We have some of the best programs on the East Coast. Are we on the East Coast? We're kind of on the East Coast. East of Mississippi, let's say. And we have students from all over the world, really, playing in our programs. We have with us today, by way of guests, we have our athletic director, Matthew Green. We also have Curtis Campbell, our SAC president, men's golf team. We also have Alicia McNeil, instructor of health, physical education, exercise science. I wish they'd shorten that title and make it a little easier for me to talk about. And our faculty athletic representative. And we've been talking about the programs here at LMU and how they've come about, and we're all proud of them. Let me ask again, Alicia and Matt. I want to ask you about the value of athletics to the student. We understand what we mean when we talk about academic programs and how we want them to accomplish, but what value do you put on athletics for someone like Curtis, who will move on to other things at some point? How does this help him?
I'll start, and then Matt can add whatever he would like. I think that the student-athlete experience is one of a kind, truly. And during their time at LMU, they have the opportunity to represent a university, which means they are upheld to a high standard. Mm-hmm. So they are building character. They are building responsibility. They have to learn and develop some very good time management skills. Mm-hmm. They have to learn some stress management skills, for sure. They have to learn how to be proactive and to take care of their business. Mm-hmm. With the stresses of athletics, they have to miss class. Sometimes that means doing assignments early. Sometimes that means getting additional help because they missed class and they don't understand what's going on. So aside from their course or their class schedule and their practice or game schedule and homework schedule and sleep schedule and maybe a little bit of a social life schedule, they have to work in additional time to play catch up in their classes. Mm-hmm. Some of them have to find employment because, they need to fund their college experience. So they have a lot on their plate. I think time management is probably one of the biggest things. Mm-hmm. And so the experience of being the student athlete and learning those so that when they leave here and go out into the workforce, I think having that experience is invaluable. Mm-hmm. And a lot of companies recognize that and seek out student athletes because they know that they have that, they can work as a team. They can follow leadership. They may step into a leadership role. Mm-hmm. They have the time management, the responsibility, and good character traits. Mm-hmm.
And are there performance requirements for student athletes to meet for NCAA Division II? What are some of those requirements they have to meet?
Well, first of all, from first semester on, student athletes have to have at least a 2.0 GPA in order to be eligible to practice and compete. In addition to that, a lot of these athletic scholarships that you hear of, academic awards, are tied to GPA as well. Mm-hmm. So 2.7 is a magic number here at LMU. If you fall below that, you're in danger of losing academic money. But in addition, and speaking to Alicia's point, a lot of these coaches have high expectations and standards for their individual programs. So we have certain coaches here on campus, if you have under a 3.0, you don't compete. Mm-hmm. That's something that a regular student isn't necessarily held to. Also, our student athletes have to pass a minimum of 9 credit hours towards their degree each semester, and a minimum of 24 hours each year to be eligible to compete the following semester and following year.
Are some of these I was reading somewhere, are these new this year from the NCAA?
Yes, so the 9 hours used to be 6 hours.
I see.
The 24 hours has been in place for a while, but yes, the jump from 6 hours to 9 hours is new this year.
And Curtis, I was going to ask Alicia this, I'm not sure why. Let me ask you this question. what's a typical day? You get up what time? Tell me your typical day from A to Z.
Being on the golf team, it's a little different because we have a pretty unique schedule. Let's go like in season traveling. If we have workouts that day, we could be up at 6 o'clock in the morning, being in the weight room from 6:30 to 7:30, and then between 7:30 to 8, if we have an 8 a.m. class, you have to be able to shower, get ready, eat to get in class by 8, and then depending on everybody's schedule, you could go from 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning or 8 to 1 in class, have lunch, be on the field for practice or for playing between 1:30 to 5, get back, eat, and then so you've already put in a full, almost nearly a 12-hour day of run and gun, trying to get to class, get to everything on time, and then so that time where you just want to like lie down, fall asleep, you have to push through it, do your extra work, homework. Some kids go back out, run at night, and I know for other sports they could be even more intensive if they have multiple practices in a day. And travel schedules too, that plays a huge part in fatigue. Especially for us, we like this upcoming week on Friday, we travel down to Jacksonville, Florida. It's a 12-hour bus ride, so after we play our final round on Tuesday, we're going to be traveling through the night, get back at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you're up at 6, 7 o'clock to get to class by 8 a.m. So it's
when this you've been here 2 years already, I think.
3 years.
Well, this is your third year or fourth year?
This is my fourth year.
I'm sorry, I think you were a junior. In the past, when you've gone through these travel schedules like this, have you found it difficult to get back into the classroom after missing a day or two? I mean, how does that work on you?
For myself, I think it's a pretty smooth transition. One of the very cool things about LMU that a lot of people don't know is our class sizes are very small compared to a larger university, so you're able to build up a really good relationship with your teachers. In doing that, it's very easy to be proactive and have things accomplished before you travel. And if you do happen to miss assignments, the teachers our professors are very accommodating. So that transition of getting back at a late hour in the morning, going to class is very easy because you feel welcome, always in the classroom. You have that good relationship, and I think that helps to go a long way.
And as I recall, I had a class, political science class. One of the athletes had missed a test, and I gave it to one of the coaches to be able to give the test during the bus trip, which I thought was amazing that he was able to take that time to do that for that student. It was a good thing. Typical day sounds pretty hectic for you. What about weekends? You get some time off on the weekends at all, or unless you're traveling, I guess? Or
yeah. So for our men's golf team, our day off is normally on Saturday. So when we're not traveling, that's our day to relax and catch up on some work. If not, I mean, our travel days are normally our off days. So this week it'll be Friday, where we're just going to be able to kick back on the bus and kind of decompress a little bit. But yeah, it's a lot of people, especially when they come and watch basketball games at Tex Turner, you see an hour and a half of competition, but they don't realize the amount of hours outside of that it takes to be prepared to play the game, be prepared in the classroom, and be healthy all at the same time.
I'm just amazed, and I've heard Matthew and Alicia, both of you all talk about the GPA level of our athletes here. It's probably the highest GPA of any group that we group together by GPA. It's always amazing to me, and I think some of that probably has to do with the time management that you talked about. Alicia, how do we instill in students, particularly new freshmen, to be able to manage their time? Because I know they're coming here and they're thinking high school, and it's not high school anymore. How do you deal with that?
No, it's definitely not high school. I think one thing that LMU has implemented recently is the UACT 100 course that's required for all incoming students that have completed less than 15 college credit hours. And in that course, they learn things like time management skills, test-taking skills, how to adapt to the new situation of college life. And so I think that is beneficial. Also, I think we have a really good support system here at Lincoln Memorial between the fellow teammates, a lot of the upperclassmen, which I'm sure, Kurt is a mentor to some of his younger teammates. We have the mentorship within the programs. We have the coaching staffs that are very available, and then we have an administrative staff that is very supportive. And so we have incredible resources throughout campus as well with our tutoring centers and our TAGI Center and our tutoring services, where if a student athlete is having a hard time, we try to catch them before they get too deep. One of the things, administratively as faculty, we submit 3-week grades and 8-week grades. So hopefully we catch them before they fall through the cracks and get too far to where they can't recover. But really, they come in, as Matt mentioned, the coaches have such high expectations, and they, some coaches enforce study tables so that they make sure the student athletes are getting their academic work done. That's one thing that Kurt didn't mention that he has to squeeze into his days as well. Is sometimes they have to do study tables at night. And
what are study tables again?
Coaches will have the team get together, and each coach has different rules. Some will say everybody comes. Some says if you have a certain GPA, you don't have to come. Some say just first or second year student athletes have to come. So it depends on the coach, but they get together either in their locker room or in the library or somewhere, and they sit down and they work on their homework. Sometimes they'll have a tutor come if several players are in the same class, and maybe they're in history class and they're having a hard time. They'll bring a history tutor in to help them during that time. So they really put that focus on academics. It's not, they're not just here to be athletes. They're here to be student athletes. And so between the coaches and the administrative staff and the support staff here at Lincoln Memorial, as a whole, we all work together to really make sure that the student athlete has the resources available to be successful. And then, they come here and they know what the expectation is. The coaches set the expectation also to be academically responsible. And you mentioned the GPAs, and I do just want to take a brief moment to mention, last year we had 307 student athletes with a cumulative GPA of 3.19. And we had 134 on the commissioner's honor roll for the conference, which is having a 3.25 or higher. So very, very impressive. And that just shows the hard work by the student athletes, by our coaches, our administrative staffs, and everyone working together to make sure that they're successful.
Now, you mentioned, I have to go back a minute, you mentioned history being difficult. Now, that's arts, humanities, social sciences. Our history professors, in fact, I had a history professor today came in and said to me, Marty, and if I could speak like he does, you would probably recognize who it is, so I'll defer on that. Anyway, he says to me, Marty, the history classes, if they're easy, that means the professor is good. I said, what do you mean by that? He says, because then the students are understanding the material and the professor is good. Now, I hadn't thought about it that way, but that makes perfect sense to me. And that's, I guess, why the students in my classes think it's really hard. I guess must be a connection there for sure. But Curtis, you're not in my classes, so you can't speak to that issue. What are the main challenges for a student athlete, would you say? And think through all that they have socially, as Matt mentioned a minute ago, social, community, academic, sports. What do you find are most difficult, most main challenge? How would you characterize that?
Well, I touched on the time management issue earlier, but I would like to say that, listening to Kurt run through his day, if you'll notice, very rarely do they get to just turn it off. At some point in the day, or at any point in the day, they are either worried about athletics, getting to a practice, getting to a team meeting, getting to a weightlifting session, getting to a competition, getting to the athletic training room to get treatment, or they're worried about getting to class, they're worried about studying for an exam, they're worried about typing a paper, or they need to go to the cafeteria and eat, or they need to socialize with friends, but they don't get to turn it off very often. And so I think just, he said they run and gun for about 12 hours before they even get a chance to relax. And I think that's really hard, and that wears, they're young, so they can handle it. But I would say that that's one of the challenges, and you can ask Kurt, his firsthand experience, but.
Yeah, let me come back after break. I want to stay on this topic just for a minute because I have, there are 34 teachers in arts, humanities, social sciences, and they come to me from time to time and they'll talk about athletes in their classes, and I have a couple of things I want to ask about that, how they are spending their time. But let's take a break here. We'll be right back with American culture, arts, humanities, and social sciences.
This is WLMU, Harrogate, Tennessee. Support for this program is made possible by LMU, Lincoln Memorial University in Harrogate, Tennessee. Further information on academics, campus life, educational programs, admissions, and financial aid, and much more, www.lmunet.edu.
Hello again, this is Dr. Martin Sellers, Dean of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, and we have been talking about athletic programs here at LMU. We have with us several guests, if you will, our athletic director, Matt Green, Alicia McNeil, instructor, health, physical education, exercise science, and also our faculty athletics representative, and Curtis Campbell, men's golf representative, I guess, right? Golf player, senior, yep. And also the president of our SAC group here on campus. We were talking, before we left for break, we were talking a little bit about everything that students have to do, and it's just, it's mind-boggling to me. I mean, I was not an athlete per se when I was in undergraduate college, and I know I just had a heck of a time fulfilling all the commitments I had to do for all the courses I had. That alone was enough for me, and to put that in terms of all the sporting events and athletic activities have to be undergone, and all the training and all the practice sessions that you all have to go through. It's just amazing. Curtis, we talked a little bit about the TAGI Center as a support unit. Have you ever been to the TAGI Center yourself? Or, I mean, is it just for students that aren't doing well, or is it for all students? Or
it's for everybody. The biggest use for me, we have a few bigger writing projects throughout the year, and the TAGI Center is a great resource for just having another student read your work. It's always good to have a second opinion, and it's really a good resource, not just for people who are struggling, but people who want to do better. Like Alicia said, a lot of our student athletes have high GPAs, and a lot of times you go into the TAGI Center and you have fellow student athletes there getting work checked, getting help, and trying to improve on the grades in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Alicia, Matt, when you come across a student athlete who's not doing well, somehow nosediving, academically speaking, how do you know that? How does that come to your attention? And what's the first thing you do?
Well, it comes to our attention, one, by either the faculty when they submit their 3-week grades and their midterm grades. We can get the report that way. Some coaches send around progress reports periodically throughout the semester, and on those progress reports they're tracking their athletes' attendance, if they've missed any classes. Some coaches, if an athlete misses a single class that's not athletic related, they are reprimanded for that. And so,
how many miles do they make them run?
Exactly.
Up and down the court 400 times. Oh my gosh.
And so on that sheet, they're tracking the attendance, they're tracking the current grade in the class. There is a column for should the student athlete seek a tutor? Mm-hmm. Do you have any comments? Are there any upcoming assignments? And that faculty member then signs off on that. So between the grades that faculty submit, the progress reports that are sent around periodically throughout the semester by the coaches themselves keep a pretty close eye on what the student athletes are doing, keeping up with, help making sure they get their assignments turned in, and but we're notified that way, and then hopefully we can figure out a way, whether it's setting up one-on-one time with the student athlete and their faculty member, having the student athlete go by during office hours to get some additional help, going to the TAGI Center like Kurt mentioned, and getting help from fellow students, but we do have a lot of resources. And so once we find out that someone is struggling, and sometimes the student athlete will just come to you themselves and say, I'm really struggling, I don't know what to do about this class. And so luckily we have all of those things in place that we can hopefully get them some help and get them successful. Yeah,
I know the faculty are more than willing to bend over backwards as much as they can to help all students, and that's one of the things I appreciate about LMU is, as Curtis mentioned earlier, the smaller classes and the amount of attention that faculty will provide. They will do it. I mean, they'll stay after class. We have office hours here, as you know, and when we say 6 office hours, it sometimes turns into 12 and 15 because they're there for the students, and I really appreciate what they do. Matthew, let me ask you, Matt Green, athletic director. Not long ago, a couple of weeks back, beginning of school, we had a wonderful person come in, transfer in, basketball player, and I noticed there was one of your assistants worked with him and is working with him, I think, to get the classes he needed. I was really impressed because, and I don't remember his name, and forgive me, but he emailed every single faculty on that new transfer student athletes schedule to make sure that if there was any problem in getting it, because the student came a week late, right? And of course, we weren't deep into the content yet, but he made sure that and copied me. And how does that work? How do you allocate? Are students allocated by assistance somehow, or is it by program, by sport? How does that mechanically work there?
Well, each program has their own set of policies and procedures and coaches that are in charge of student academic progress. And the big thing that we want to make sure, when I say we, myself, Alicia, and our administrative team, is that our students are being supported in some way. Mm-hmm. And so whether that's an assistant coach, the head coach themselves, a graduate assistant, we want to make sure that our student athletes have that extra supervision. And I have to brag on Alicia a little bit. She's been at this now for a little over a year, and you would think she's been doing it for 10. She's phenomenal, because communication is the name of the game. Yeah. And she is a wonderful communicator, an advocate for our student athletes, but an advocate for our faculty members as well, to make sure that they're supported, because having student athletes in class can be challenging. You're talking about missed classes, having to turn work in early. Mm-hmm. So Alicia does a phenomenal job making sure that communication is strong between student athlete and faculty member.
Mm-hmm. So in a program like basketball, let's say you might have, I don't know, 3 or 4 assistant coaches, and they are also tracking each student, or maybe they have 3 or 4 students or several students under their wing. Is that how that works? Or
it is. So actually, speaking of our men's basketball program, they have a stoplight system. So they've got red, yellow, and green. And typically your red and yellow are the student athletes that are monitored a little bit closely. So those are the ones that will be in your study tables. Those are the ones that they'll be doing class checks. Those are the ones that they'll really be looking at those 3-week and 8-week progress reports to make sure that they're on par. So again, each program has their own system in the way that they go about it, but the main thing is that we're keeping a thumb on these student athletes and making sure that they're getting the support they need.
Can we change those colors to blue, gray, and maybe some auspicious white or some other whatever? That's LMU colors, right? But the red, I don't want to be in the red zone. Have you ever been, Curtis, in the red zone?
No, I've never been.
Never been in the red zone. How about yellow? Any yellow?
No, all green.
Yeah, you're not going to tell us if you were, right? No,
I would.
You'll tell us. Alicia, let me ask you a question. Just as an example, and I know it's not. This probably doesn't happen very often. But what's the worst case that you've come across where you were trying to get help for a student and it just wasn't coming from a faculty person or the student themselves? And how did you intervene?
Oh gosh!
I'm putting you on the hot seat here.
Sounds to me like a job interview there.
She's not going anywhere. No, she's staying right here. What would you say might be a good example of something where you had to intervene and work things out?
Oh gosh, you are putting me on the spot. I would say, like Matt said, that the biggest issue is communication, and so I think the biggest hurdle that I've tried to overcome this year is getting the student athletes to just talk to their faculty. Getting them to initiate a relationship with them, initiate a conversation, so that they don't feel apprehensive about going to get help if they need it, and so that they keep the athlete or they keep the faculty member informed that they may miss and what can they do. In terms of the biggest issue I've had to handle or intervene with, oh gosh, luckily we haven't had too many, so I don't have a whole bunch popping. I don't have a whole bunch popping into my head all at once.
Well, this is good. This means we're perfect.
I might have to.
I'm amazed and happy.
I wouldn't say we're perfect, but we're pretty darn good, because I am having a hard time. I'm trying to swirl. I really think the biggest issue is communication. We haven't had. I can't think of one major issue that's come up that I've had to solve, but I can say that. I answer multiple emails on a weekly basis of, well, so-and-so didn't tell me this, or I wasn't informed of this. And so that's what I'm really trying to pound into the student athletes' brains this year is communicate. And then, with the faculty, keep being flexible. We appreciate everything that you do. We understand it's an inconvenience, but we are very, very grateful for your flexibility and your patience. And so the biggest, again, there's not one major event that has happened, but overall the biggest problem that we've had is communication, and that's where I do step in. And sometimes it's sending emails, and sometimes it's something where emails can get interpreted in
misinterpreted.
Yeah, it can be misinterpreted, exactly. And so there have been several instances where I've just said, you know what, we're going to have a face-to-face meeting and we're going to hash this out. And so I've gone to the faculty member's office, or I've gone to the coach's office and said, here's the information, here's what I've been told. Let's get both sides, let's find the happy medium, and let's resolve the issue. And that normally we can squash it right then and there. We come up with a solution and it's fine. And so it's just, it's communicating, it's making everyone, available and open to getting on the same page.
Now, you had a new faculty orientation, I think, or you spoke at a new faculty. I've had faculty. We have 5 new faculty in Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences this year, and one of them came to me and said they were really glad for that opportunity to hear from you. And I don't know, Matthew may have spoke. I don't know. I wasn't sure. I didn't go to that. Just a little bit. Man, a few words, but great action. And
I aim to please.
And so they were really appreciative of that. Did any questions come up in that little grouping gathering that were?
Yeah, it was really helpful because, they were, they've been faculty at other institutions, and every institution you go to is going to have different policies and procedures for notifications and the way that student-athlete absences are handled. And so it was really nice to be able to get in front of them and let them know, first of all, here's my face, here's my name, I'm your go-to person, I'm your liaison, I'm the person that, you need to come to make myself available, and then to be able to inform them a little bit about how we do things here at LMU. And they did have questions about, if an athlete misses a test, what is expected, and so we answer those things. They had some very specific questions, they had some very general questions, and but it was beneficial for them to get a feel for how things work here at LMU as compared to some of their other institutions. And so I was really glad that we were able to do that.
I think we do quite a bit for new faculty here. One of the things I've noticed is that the departments, the schools, go out of their way to try to make new faculty feel at home, and then have them recognize that the way we do policy here is often very different from a school our same size, very similar to us, in a different place, and that goes without saying. And they were very appreciative of that opportunity, which then folds into how their relationship is with the student athletes in the classes. They see the caring that comes out of the athletic departments from the top down, and they recognize that students are well informed, that they're appreciated, and they're overworked, but that's another issue. And we're about to take a break. We appreciate talking with the folks that are here, our guests, Curtis Campbell, Alicia McNeil, Matt Green. We're talking about athletic student athletes here. They call them athletic students. I call them student athletes. No, I'm just teasing. We all call them student athletes. They are doing a wonderful job here, maintaining and keeping students on the pathway to success.
Tyler Rowlett here, host of the Friday Afternoon Jam, where I bring you the best alt-rock and jam bands from the 90s to today. I'll be playing sweet jams from artists like the Black Crowes, Fish, and the best alt-rock from bands like Taking Back Sunday,
your lipstick is calling, don't bother it, I know exactly what goes on.
and Tonight Alive. It's every Friday from 2 to 4, right here on 91.3 WLMU.
You are back again. This is Dr. Martin Sellers, Dean of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. I have the privilege. Our segment today is great. We're talking about sporting programs, athletic programs, I should say, and the student athlete, and academics, and how they're operating, the problems they're having, the quality of our students. Have with me today guests Matthew Green, the Director of Athletics, Dr. Alicia McNeil, Instructor of Health, Physical Education, and Exercise Science, who is this year our Faculty Athletic Representative, and also Curtis Campbell, who is on the men's golf team, an excellent addition to Lincoln Memorial University. We're doing a great job here with our students. We've been talking about how athletes are acclimated into academics and how they are tracked, the work that's being done by all of the coaches in the many programs, and also our faculty athletic representative in maintaining a pathway to success. That's what it's all about. Students will leave here at some point. I don't know if too many of them will go on to professional athletics. They may or may not. I'm going to ask Dr. Matthew Green that question in just a minute. But if they don't, we want to be sure that they have the opportunity to go on to other higher education, career fulfilling activities or jobs, or back home with fulfillment, feeling like they've been successful. And I think we do that here. I know we do that here at LMU. Matt Green, what about that? Do many students go on to professional careers, either here or overseas? If they do, how does that work? If they do not, do you feel pretty good that they're being successful enough here in academics to go on to lives, fulfilling lives, and so on? How do you feel about that?
Well, at our level, you typically don't see a large percentage progress professionally in their sport. Now, I will say it is relative. Our men's basketball program has sent at least 8 individuals to the professional ranks over the last 8 years, and they are playing overseas, and once they complete their eligibility here, they sign with agents, they get a job overseas. So that's typically the way that works. But the percentages are outrageous, the amount that do not go to the professional ranks, and I do feel like our student athletes are being prepared for that next step. There are a lot of great programs here. You mentioned them at the outset of the show, and we have fantastic faculty. Our kids here get real-world experience. They get great exposure to incredible educators, and so I think if it's more education, if it's a master's program, a doctorate program, whatever our students want to go into, if they want to go into something professional, I think that they are prepared for that next level.
Curtis, let me ask you that question. If you do not go on, I hope you go, to become world famous, #1 in the PGA and so on. You just might. But if that is not what happens, do you feel and I want you to be honest, do you feel successful here at LMU? Do you feel like you've been strengthened, your tools, your convictions, your vision? How do you speak to that?
I'd say for sure. I mean, it's an incredible experience and opportunity to be a student athlete, not just at LMU, but especially here. And no matter, of course, like I have the plans, especially with golf. Golf's a very unique situation where there's no draft and there's no agent. It's your own personal choice. Like I know Jamie Chapman, who graduated here the year before I got, he's currently playing on mini tours in the Knoxville area. He's playing professional, making money at it. Connor Froning, who graduated last year, he's got his professional cards and he's teaching at a golf course in Knoxville. So the potential for a male golfer to come out of our program and to be considered professional is still relatively higher than I'd say most of the sports here on campus. So of course that's the ultimate dream. If not, I think LMU prepares you very well for moving into the real world. Like Alicia said, it teaches you lots about stress management and just all the experiences you feel fulfilled with your experience here.
Curtis, I appreciate you being here because I know, as an athlete and working with and eating at the cafeteria with all the athletes from all different programs, I have a question I want to ask you. I've been thinking about, and I have friends over at Duke University. My son graduated from there, so I have friends. He plays soccer, and I'm just wondering: do athletes pick majors that are easy, or do they pick majors that they're interested in? Now, I want you to be honest about this.
I'd say that depends on the individual.
It doesn't. Yeah.
I've seen both ends of the spectrum where. For example, Rand Wasson, he was SAC Conference Player of the Year my freshman year. Played full-time. He played every tournament on our A team with the golf team, and he was a biology pre-med major. He wants to be an anesthesiologist, and he's studying a DCOM.
Excellent.
And to handle those two schedules together is pretty incredible to see. So you have that end where he's really passionate about the medical world, and you have others who are more in for the athletic experience, and that's fine because you're getting an experience either way.
Yeah, no, we have a number of students right here, not just econ, but also who've been accepted at the vet med school and DSOL, who are our own student athletes. I'm that was a question I just wanted to prompt you with, just to see how you would answer that. But I'm sure it happens, but not here at LMU, right, Matt Green? Does not happen here. Let me turn the tables a little bit on something. I wanted to ask some questions of you all who are real familiar with athletics and programs and issues that come up in the public out here, controversial issues. And I'm not asking you, I just want your general opinion on some of these things. Title IX has been a controversial issue more recently than in the longer term. And I want to ask you, maybe Matt, you could speak to this. Title IX originally meant one thing, and today it's been spoken about for some other things. Can you tell us a little bit about what Title IX means?
Well, to your point, whereas maybe it originated as opportunity for women in sport, right. It shifted when you see the scandals such as things at Florida State or Baylor. It shifted more to the domestic violence, sexual assault aspect, and I think what that boils down to, there's a focus on that, and rightfully so. I think it comes down to two things. It comes down to education, number one, and then it comes down to policy and procedure. We need to make sure as administrators, as coaches, as faculty staff, that we're educating these young people as to appropriate and inappropriate behaviors, but also on the back end that if there is an instance that occurs, and they do across college campuses all over the country, that we have the policies and procedures in place, that we take action. When somebody reports a problem, we take action. We do things in the right way that protects both the victim and the individual that's accused, and then we proceed accordingly, but that we don't hide issues. We don't try to hide behind them or sweep them under a rug, that we actually take them seriously, that we go through the proper channels and handle things the way they need to be handled.
Mm-hmm. There's been controversies also regarding, and I was somewhat kidding with Curtis about taking easy majors and hard majors, but we've read quite a bit about UNC and Syracuse and some of the issues that they've had to deal with regarding other people than the student taking tests, some plagiarism issues. There were issues of handing in grade change reports the day of the student going on the bus to get to the school, to get to the athletic event. What's your sense of this? And Alicia, I'm going to get your input on this too. What's your sense about this with regard to just in a general sense, how you feel about this, and anything and how we're working against that here at LMU? And I have to make this statement. I've had students say to me, "This is probably the safest, cleanest, most high integrity campus they've ever." I don't know if they've ever been to other campuses, but I certainly nod my head yes when I hear this. But and you've both been to other colleges and so on, and Curtis, you have friends who go to other colleges, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. How is it we're maintaining such a high level of? What are your thoughts about these issues, and how are we maintaining such a high level of integrity here?
Well, I would say my thoughts on the issues are that it's a shame when things like that take place, and unfortunately it is a reality that they do take place at some institutions. But I think that's one of the beautiful parts about, one, Lincoln Memorial in general, and two, being a Division II school, we have, I don't know if this is a fair thing to say, but we maybe focus a little more on academics than maybe Division I schools do. Matt mentioned earlier that he emphasizes the student athletes having the complete experience. And so, we, because we don't have the large percentage or proportion of our student athletes going on to the professional level, they have to have a backup plan. And really, it's not a backup plan. They have to have a plan. And their plan is their professional career. And so, as faculty, we have safeguards in place where when a student turns in a paper, we use Turnitin.com. We catch plagiarism that way. We, like Kurt said, we have small class sizes. So I know when the wrong person is in my class trying to take it never happens, but I would know if the wrong person was in my class trying to take an exam. And so part of the beauty of LMU, of the small class sizes, the the close relationship between faculty and student athletes, the high expectations, the integrity of the student athlete, the faculty member, the administration. I think all of that works together to make sure that we don't have those kind of events take place here.
I had a while back, a student athlete transferred in from a Division I school to play a sport here, and I remember his mother telling us how she was so glad that he was here to learn, because where he was before, she would say he was there to burn instead of learn, and that's really, and that makes my heart ache when I hear that. I understand it, and we recognize what all that means, and but I, as Curtis suggested, and as we all agree, there's life after athletics if I don't go on to a pro sport somewhere, and I may not. And even if I do, and if you know some of the pros that are out there who retire early because given the sport that they're in, I know some have gone back to school or have gone to school in the summer because they know at some point, even though they're making multi-million dollars, they want that degree at some point so they can go into a field that they appreciate. Matthew, we have a minute left. I'm giving you the opportunity to say whatever you want to say about our athletic programs. I know they're intense, they're good, and they function good at a high level. You have the floor.
Well, we would just like to encourage everyone in the community, on campus, off campus, to come and support these student athletes. They do have a lot on their plate. They work hard in the classroom and on the field of play. But I would also say, athletics is a unique situation and a unique opportunity. Athletics provides opportunities for some students that would never have the opportunity to come to college and get an education. But because they excel at their sport, they're able to get athletic scholarships and then get a wonderful education. So there is great value in athletics, especially in collegiate athletics, and so I'm just thankful to be a part of it. You get to meet so many great people like the two people in this room and everybody that we work with, and then obviously we appreciate all of the support from our faculty here because we couldn't do what we do without the support of our faculty, so thank you.
And I know President Dr. Dawson feels the same way, and I know he's committed to all that we do here in our athletic programs and to students. I've heard him speak about this many times, but I've seen it in the reality. Putting in a new fitness center was a great thing. Building up the programs that we have. It's just phenomenal here at Lincoln Memorial University. I want to thank you all for listening today. It's a segment on athletics and sports and student athletes, and I want to thank our guests here, Matt Green, Athletic Director, Alicia McNeil, our faculty athletic representative, and certainly Curtis, our excellent golf student athlete, who's given us some insight into what it's like to be in the world that he's in. I want to thank you all for being here. This is American Culture, Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. Thank you all for listening.
Support for this program is made possible by Lincoln Memorial University in Harrogate, Tennessee. Further information on academics, campus life, educational programs, admissions, and financial aid, and much more, www.lmunet.edu.
This afternoon's program was produced by Gary Daniels. Our student studio assistant is John Hobbs. Our program director is Clay Stanifer. Our broadcast engineer is Don Burgraff. Our executive producer is Tony Spinoza. Our theme music is White Horses, as performed by Tierra Negra and Muriel Anderson. American Culture, Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences at LMU will rebroadcast again this Saturday at 10 a.m., Sunday at 8 p.m., and next Tuesday at 7 a.m. This has been a WLMU radio production. This is 91.3 The Gap.